Hey. Well, hi, Sarah. You asked for Richard, Sarah Menchaca with Southern California Funding. How are you today? I've had people clamoring to hear your advice today, so it's
Yes.
So you are on.
Oh, yeah, it sure is.
What an intense look, huh?
Let's see.
Let's see.
Go here.
Are you sure we can hear her? Because I can't hear her.
She's muted.
Oh, she's muted?
Can you get the light, Rich?
There we go. Sure.
Hey, Rich, sorry, there is a delay on my end. Can
Thanks, Sarah.
you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So quick rate update for today. Rates are actually pretty stable. They're a little bit unchanged from the last rate update I gave you guys back in February. So today for a conforming loan, this would be a scenario, a loan amount of $766,550, 75% loan to value and a credit score of 760 or higher. We're looking at 6.375 to 6.875. The range being 1 to 0 points being charged. A high balance loan, this would be anything up to $1,149,825 for Orange County. The rates are ranging from 6.625 to 7.125, again with 1 to 0 points being charged. And a jumbo loan, so this would be anything exceeding the last loan amount I gave you, would be about 6.875 to 7.25 today. And then I did just want to point out or let you all know that I do have a lender that is offering underwritten loan approvals prior to a property being established. So this could help you guys with your offer, almost as if you were offering an all cash deal by having that underwriter approval upfront with your offer.
Oh, that's great. So Sarah, how long do you think it would take once we have a full submission package for them to issue the findings?
For the underwriter approval, it'd probably take about a couple days when they have the full loan package.
All right. So that not that long. That's great.
No, not that long.
That shows exactly what's happening. Everybody's fighting for business now.
Yes.
Let's take advantage of that. I think that's a great idea. Anyone have any questions for Sarah? Richard? No, no questions. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Sarah, thank you very much. It's good to see you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So just a couple of things before we introduce our guest speaker. Anyone want to talk about a limited service broker? We're starting to see more things like that. You may see something on the MLS that says limited service broker, and the broker is obligated to disclose that on the MLS. So it's just somebody who's going to list the property. They still have the obligation to offer compensation to the agent that represents the buyer, but they're not going to do anything, possibly even negotiating the transaction. So if you see that, I just want to be sure you understand that. And then what about, because everything has taken place with litigation that's going, and we're starting to see different things on the MLS. If you see a listing that states that the seller is going to pay the compensation, you may see something in prior remarks. Is that acceptable? Well, it is, but if for some reason the seller doesn't, whomever is offering that compensation, remember this is broker to broker compensation that's being offered on the MLS, they're going to be obligated to pay that, whether or not the seller actually pays it. And anybody want to talk about an open listing? Anybody know what the difference is between an open listing and an exclusive listing? Brian, I see you're listening intently.
Hi there.
Just kidding. Like I'm a teacher, right? So there are open listings we're coming across periodically, or if somebody asks you to accept an open listing, you should say absolutely not. If with an open listing, you as a listing agent, you're entitled to the compensation should you bring the buyer. If you accept an open listing and another agent brings the buyer, you're not entitled to anything. With an exclusive listing, no matter who sells the property, you're entitled to be compensated. And today we're going to be talking about farming, right? Generating activity. So that's why I just want to touch upon these small nuances, just in case it comes up during your everyday practice. So first of all, or next, I should say, let me introduce Mary Gwak with Laura's title. Larry's an expert in regards to farming and marketing activity. Mary probably works with some of the biggest agents in Orange County, so she has a pretty good idea in regards to what they're doing. So her information is extremely valuable. Mary, thank you for coming today.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to everyone on Zoom too. I have prepared some notes and cheat sheets and really kind of a guideline. The purpose of the handout, Carlos is actually going to share it on the screen. I'm not going to go line for line on it, but it's an outline of what I plan on teaching and discussing today. But do keep in mind that this should be kind of a reference guide. So first and foremost, what I'm going to start off with today and kind of get you guys to start thinking about is when we first think about the word farming in our industry, it's generally associated with farming or marketing to strangers, people that we don't know. So typically when people utilize the word farming, they pick out a geographical area. They start with a city, hone into a zip code, and then kind of develop an area like a track, like in Irvine, right? So we have tracks. By the way, I have Irvine maps with all the tracks listed, including our new villages. So feel free to grab one of these. When we talk about the farming portion of it, one of the things that I've done over the past probably about 7 or 8 years, is I've really shifted gears. I'm not necessarily deterring people from selecting a geographical farm and going after people they don't know. But I like to get the conversation started with talking about your SOI, your sphere of influence, people that you know. And oftentimes it's probably the conversation with the most resistance from my clients. And I understand that none of us want to feel like a peddler and go to your neighbors or go to your friends or your church associates and ask them for business. But really, in reality, the starking numbers that I have seen over the years is people who geographically farm religiously are actually seeing incrementally, year after year, a much higher rate of return on their SOI database. So I'm going to give you an example. As Richard mentioned, I work with a lot of different agents of all different calibers. And one of my largest agents, she mails out 17,000 pieces a month. And I've been working with her for about 8.5 years. Every year, she increases her farm by a little, but we actually just started 2 years ago of decreasing the size a little bit. Because what she's realized, every phone call she gets, every email she gets, every appointment she gets, she absolutely tracks exactly how these people came to her. So she will ask several questions, whether or not she gets the listing or whether or not she puts them in escrow. One of the first things that she does is she has a discussion with them to really try to figure out, why did Richard call me? How did he call me? And what she's realized is the farming helps, but what actually triggers that phone call by just really huge numbers is people that know her. So it could have been the hairdresser that said, oh yeah, she does great stuff. She does a ton of stuff in Huntington Beach. She does a ton of stuff. So it's the people that are your advocates when you're not working or when you're not in front of that prospective buyer or seller. And the reason why I bring that up is when I talk about starking numbers, so I go to like this example, my client, she is currently at 70% of her business is coming from her SOI. And when I say that, an objection that I get from some of my newer agents is, well, it's because she's been in the business for a long time and she has a lot of past clients. And I'll tell you, actually her SOI, the fraction of past clients versus just her people that know her and identify her as a real estate consultant is really low. So the majority are not past clients. It's not the wealthy past client that's buying 10 homes in a 5-year span. It's actually people that she associates with and is known in the community with. Those are kind of the people that really, really supercharge her business. So I have a few pages in here that really talks about how to be a SOI marketing farmer, if you will. First and foremost, I can't emphasize enough, just because you have 500 people on your cell phone or 500 people that you know, it doesn't mean that they're your SOI unless you start marketing to them. So when you're marketing to your past clients or people that you know, it is imperative that you treat them just the way you would. If you picked a track in West Park next week, my kind of plan of action to you would be you need to market to them at least every 3 weeks, if not twice a month, and be in their mailbox. And the same goes for the sphere of influence. One of the reasons why many of us don't see success is because you just think, well, Richard knows who I am. If he needs title, he'll call me. But I'll tell you what, if I'm not in this office 3-4 times a week, eventually someone else will be in here. Eventually, another face will become more commonplace. So your job as real estate agents, when you're marketing to people that you know, it is to continually remind them, right? Remind them more than the geographical farmer. And I'll just use some different names because you guys will know because they're in this office, like Holden. Holden markets in College Park. If he's been in there for years, but if he all of a sudden stopped, or if he just kind of really slowed down his efforts, but half the people in there were receiving marketing pieces from someone that they go to church with, their kids go to school with, eventually, it doesn't matter how long someone has been doing in there. If it's not constant, then that new person is going to they're going to basically be able to capture that person's mind and say, this is the real estate consultant I want to work with. And what we're finding throughout Orange County, it's not just Irvine. I mean, Irvine is very obvious to me because I've been in Irvine. It's been my territory for 20 plus years. But just generally speaking, there are not as many dominant area farmers because more and more people are comfortable. They want to work with people that they are familiar with. And it doesn't mean that it's the best friend or the uncle that, has this as a second job, but it just means people that are professionals that touch base with the consumer just the way the area expert does. So one of my favorite examples that I use about SOI, a client of mine has been in the business for a very long time. She started out as a leasing agent and eventually became a buyer's agent. And now she does mostly listings. She is good for 18 to 25 deals a year. And her entire farming is based on this little Excel spreadsheet that she and I maintain. So every month she mails these people on her spreadsheet. When we started working together 15 years ago, she had about 180 people. And now she's over 200, but she mails them religiously, just the way Holden mails out to College Park. So it is absolutely no different. A big chunk of those people on her list have actually never bought or sold a home from her either. So that's one point that I really want to make. As real estate professionals, you guys really want to get out of your minds and don't make stories up in your head. Don't make excuses. Like something I hear very common or often is, well, they just bought their forever home, so I don't need to reach out to them as frequently. Or, well, they're divorced and they're in financial trouble, so they can't buy a home, so I don't need to reach out. But those are the types of things that I think we're creating barriers. It doesn't matter what you think, when you think they're going to buy. Your job, if they already know you, is to continually reiterate who you are in their mind. Because it's out of sight, out of mind, right? So if they already know your name and they already know that you're in the business, that's probably equivalent to mailing out to a brand new farm, equivalent to about 2 years worth of farming. So why wouldn't you take advantage of it? It doesn't mean you need to call them and say, hey, do you want to buy or sell? But it is offering a relationship to them, offering products and services, because we are ultimately in the service industry, right? Most of our clients could figure out a way on how to buy a home, but why are they going to choose you? They're going to choose you because of your relationship with them and how you can consult them in their real estate transactions. Do we have any questions? If I'm going too fast, please stop me. So Sphere of influence farming, in my opinion, is the most economical. Generally speaking, when I talk about geographical farming, what I consult with my agents when we're picking a farm is you need 18 to 24 months before you see return. 18 to 24 months, minimum of 500 doors. I used to not really give a minimum. I would say, you know, what your comfort zone is, but I think about 2 tracks in Irvine, roughly 500 doors. And if you're not going to be walking and you're going to be mailing, the cost of printing is going to be the cheapest part. Your postage is going to be the most expensive. So if I were a real estate agent today and I'm figuring out, okay, what's the best way to spend $1 on a person? I would want that person to be someone who already knows me, because I have superseded 2 years of them even remembering that my name is Mary Gwak and that I'm a real estate professional in Orange County, California. So if I can do that, why wouldn't I tap into that? Some ideas when you are marketing to your sphere of influence. I think one of the most powerful ideas is actually property profiles. And it's really, really, really underutilized in our industry. Are there any of you in here that have not seen a property profile from a title company? That's something that I can actually, you have not, okay. What I'll do is I'm gonna send Carlos a couple of other attachments and maybe we can send it out with the meeting. Property profiles are essentially one of the marketing tools that title companies give to agents. We can prepare them electronically or hard copies. What it has is it has the owner's information along with the property information. And when utilized correctly, you are offering a service to people that you know, if they own a home, a way not only to check, make sure that there's no fraudulent activity, but even liens. I had 2 calls from this office. One was from an agent whose client had a mechanics lien. And I think if we had done like an annual property profile check for this client, we would have probably seen it. Now, luckily, the lien is going to get extinguished because of time, but wouldn't it be a great service if you prepared a property profile for your clients who own a home at least twice a year, send it to them via email or drop it off to their door and just let them know, hey, with the rise of fraud, with the rise of just the nature of the world now, I like to prepare these profiles for my clients from time to time. Please take a look. If anything looks out of sorts, then I am happy to figure out how to get it cleared up for you. And it could be something as simple as, you know, Mr. Jones thinks that he holds his real estate in his trust, but you send him a property profile and you point out to them, well, when you refinanced in 2021, it came out of your trust and it never went back in. So that's the kind of service that you can offer to people, especially if they already have a relationship with you. The other thing that I think is really, really a neat, fun tool, especially if you guys have a little bit of time and to be a little strategic, you would create a list of people that you know own a home. And this would not be something that you do as your first step of connecting with them, right? This would be a little down the line after you've already established to your SOI that you're not going anywhere. You're going to be there for a long time to basically be their lifetime real estate consultant. So once you've established that, you would start doing an equity check. And it's kind of a new fun terminology. Most people that you and I are dealing with have bank accounts, they have stock brokerage accounts, they have savings accounts. A lot of these accounts offer us at least a quarterly statement. And it tells us, it gives us a snapshot, right? So your Merrill Lynch account, the snapshot for the last quarter is XYZ dollars. But when we think about our home, there's really nothing like that available unless you guys help them. Now, sure, I can go on to Zillow or Redfin and punch in my home address, but how much nicer would it be if my real estate consultant reached out to me and said, hey, this is something that I've started doing for my friends and my family. I'd love to do an equity check for you. Is that something that I can put together and send to you via email? and it's very customized. So it would essentially be like you coming up with comps or CMA, right? And if that seems too time prohibitive, go back to the property profile. So my client that I had mentioned that does, a lot of volume, mails out the 17,000 pieces. She does property profiles once a year for everybody on her list. So her SOI list is about 2,000 people. She divides up the 2,000 people and figures out who she's mailing to, who she's dropping to, and who she's emailing to. And then she creates a list, sends it over to me and my team, and we package it per her request, right? So sometimes it'll be 10 emails that go to her, and she forwards it on to her clients. And in that, she utilizes that as take a look, call or email me if you'd like me to do an equity check. The title company prepared some comps in there, system generated, but I'd love to do one for you as a customized one for your property. So oftentimes when she sends these out, she gets people that say, wow, this is great. This is fantastic. Do you think you can prepare one for me for my parents? We're not really looking to move until Johnny's out of high school, but we're starting to have to think about this for my parents. So it gets people to start thinking, right? And going back to what I said earlier about, we create these stories in our head and say, well, they're not moving. They've got twins that are, freshmen in high school. That's a great school district. People come up with so many stories because I hear them. I hear them from my agents. And you stop connecting with them because you think there's nothing to shake out of them. But in reality, they know people. So as you provide superior, superb, forward-thinking service, they start recognizing you for that. They start connecting you. And when things come up in their life, they realize, oh, I have a perfect person for that.
They do. Yeah.
One of the other things that Shweta and I prepared something like this not too long ago, but in our industry, people use the terminology pop by gifts, right? So you pop in, you pop by. Doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It doesn't have to be anything too expensive. Some could be expensive, but you create just kind of like your golden list, right? Maybe it's 10 people, maybe it's 15 people, and hopefully they're in close proximity to you. So you would basically pop by, drop off a little gift, and write them a little handwritten note. Maybe they're home, maybe they're not. So one that my client just did, and I thought it was a great idea. She prepared it. She's already got it out, I think, to about 100 doors. So going back to the same client who she's got a large team. They divvied it up, but they selected 100 people. And for spring forward or time change, she did a cute little postcard, and she did a pack of 6 batteries wrapped up really cute, basically saying, make sure that your batteries are up to date on your carbon monoxide and your fire alarm. So for each person, she got these batteries off of Amazon. Each door, it probably cost her $2, $3. But it's just something that's like, wow, that's really sweet. That was really cute. And they dropped it off at my door. They came by to drop this off at my door. So she alternates who she does what for, right? So that's something to keep in mind too. And again, big disclaimer, I am not trying to deter you from geographical farming. But what I'm trying to do is get you guys to really think about, all of us have a ton of business in our phones that we are not nurturing, we are not catering to. And if you spend the same amount of money that you would to a brand new farm, your return is going to take place much quicker from your SOI. So I will talk a little bit about geographical farming because, like I said, I'm not deterring you. I think it is scientific. It's one of the big draws for me as a business development title representative. is the successes that people have with geographical farming.
Where are we on this?
We are actually, we can go to the items, remember where we changed the Prop 60? We can start there, because I'm gonna kind of weave in and out of it. When we are talking about geographical farming, one of the things that title companies do, and most of you know this, but for those that don't realize this, our biggest asset, our title company's biggest asset is data. You could pretty much give me any area and we will be able to compile a list for you in Excel and tell you who lives at what address, what they bought it for, how many bedrooms there are, what the loan amount is. So you pick a geographical farm based on a couple of different factors. Very scientifically, people look at turnover ratio. Turnover ratio is essentially the math component of looking at how many homes are in the tract or given area and how many have changed hands in the last 12 to 24 months. So if there were 100 homes and 3 homes sold, it would be a 3% turnover in the last 12 months. Now, it's not the only component. There's been a big wave of like technology. You guys probably get spammed all the time on your email and your text of people trying to sell you software. I'm not opposed to turnover ratios. We can provide you turnover ratios on any given area, but I do believe that we have to look at other factors. So when we are looking for a brand new farm, some items and notes to keep in mind that I like my clients to think about is, look at the age of the homes. Look at the age of the people that live there. Look at things like Melrose. Look at the demographics. Is there a high proportion of homeowners that live there that are empty nesters? Or is there a high proportion of people that live there with school-age children? Some of those types of things, you are basically humanizing your farm. You're looking at your farm going, what is a higher probability, right? So the National Association of Realtors every year puts out this really lengthy report and just kind of cracks all the nuts and bolts of what buyers and sellers are doing and why they're doing it. And one of the statistics shows that it's over 45% of the people that move is because some sort of a life change. A life change could be, yes.
I have a question. So you talked about the demographics, age, so on and so forth.
Uh-huh.
Jeff, because we have people in here that are interested in utilizing Prop 19, somebody 55 years of age and older. So where can I get a list of the criteria which you could sort the data down by? So I don't have to come up with my own thoughts, but Mary, if you can provide me with any of these categories, you gave me a list, right?
List,
I go
yeah.
for sushi.
Yes, I like that.
How do we do that?
So I can put together a secondary list. The first list, which I can put together, is essentially every field that you see on a farm package, it's sortable by. So you can say, I only want the people who purchased their home in 2015. Or you could say, I only want the people whose last name is Smith and Jones. So it's sortable by any of the columns that we have on our farm. But secondarily, one of the things that, with the rise of all this technology, I have access to backdoor some of the information. Title companies, because of all the different rules and laws that we have, unfortunately, I can't give you, my company cannot give you, I can give it to you, but my company cannot give you a list of people in the city of Tustin that are between the ages of 65 and 75, but I can't. My company can't give you a list that says, I only want people that have 3 or more kids. So there are other search engines that I utilize. So it's a multi-step. I go and filter by certain things that my company offers, and I utilize the APNs and go back into another search engine, dump it in, and then tell them to shake out all the people that are, 65 and older.
So speaking for myself, I'm not gonna know what I want until many times I have something that's causing me
Yes,
to choose that selection. So if that's possible, that might be very helpful.
I think I'll do that.
Thank you.
I'll put together a list for you both that we can do a generic through my company.
Yeah,
And then all the new added perks that I have access to personally.
okay, great, thank you.
Of course, so,
Long-term homeowners would be one that you can do from your company, and long-term homeowners, if they say 15 or plus, most likely they bought their home at 30 years old.
that's correct.
That would be a genuine.
That, yes, and that is it's a legal product that we can give away from our company is the long-term owners, because we can sort by how long they've owned. Yes.
Yeah, if you want to find out that, that tract is a first time buyer for last 20, 30, original buyer never sold, can we
Yes.
sort that? too?
Absolutely. That's such a great question. So that's something that a lot of people are utilizing
Mhm.
right now.
Because the chance is good on those families.
Sure, sure. So what we would do in Rick's question is we would first figure out when the first deed out was, when that tract was built. And then we would get an idea of when all the first deeds went out. So we would say, okay, we just want the people that bought in 1989 from January to December.
How about, the couple that are involved unfortunately to the court as far as divorce? Middle of the course of divorce, you guys find out that your action is getting separation before they get finalized of divorce or no?
It tells you that, so the program that I use says that they can do it, but I found that it's really not, there's more records out there than what this gives us.
Mhm.
Because the court records, if they're filed, doesn't necessarily mean we all have access to it. So there's got to be other little triggers and then they pick up on it. So I personally wouldn't rely heavily on it because I think there's a lot of other records if you are going to do divorce. But there are other ways to.
So unless it's divorce happened, done, then you can,
Correct.
it's better that way.
Correct.
See, his questions are good because he doesn't know if we can get that data,
Right.
right? So we have the pick list per se.
Yes, yes. That's a really good point. I mean, I wouldn't pass that out or show it on my social
No.
media, but I would give it to you. I would
Thank
give it
you.
to you guys.
So like one thing that's strange is that on social media, realtors aren't allowed to set parameters as to like, I'm gonna advertise to this specific age or this specific demographic. But like, this is that.
This is exactly that, isn't it?
It is, right? Yeah,
It's just not trackable.
Right.
right. It's
Yeah.
not tracking.
Yeah.
I mean, because theoretically, right, you're not supposed to like, I'm bilingual, I speak English and Korean. If I was a realtor, I would market to Koreans, but you're not even supposed to do that technically. But that's one of my legal things that I can give you guys. My farm guy will put that together for you. If you said, hey, I'm looking for a list of people that have Russian last names or Chinese last names, they can put that together. So,
Good point, Carlos.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
So
Freya.
just going back to the divorce cases.
uh-huh,
You mentioned there are other ways
Uh-huh.
to gather that.
uh-huh.
What are the other ways? Can you
So I have different search engines
for the divorce?
for the divorce. They utilize a few, they don't tell us exactly what it is, but they utilize a combination of factors with the names of the owners, like child support situations, recent filings in family court, and then a preliminary filing for a divorce, or hiring a mediator in the divorce realm. So there is that too.
I,
Yes,
Thank
of course, of course.
No,
Yes.
if the SOI is not much, imagine,
Mhm.
very little, tiny,
How tiny?
tiny,
10.
fingers, 10.
Then next year it'll be 20.
Because doctors, I have a lot of people I know, but not related to friendship. Like doctors, I don't want to bother them, I don't want, but as I advertised once, no, I don't want. He's a very rich guy and a Jewish Persian. He said, no. I said, sir, I'm not selling you drug, you're doing this. I'm just letting you know I'm in real estate. You're my doctors, I give you service, I give you money, you make money from my insurance. How come you don't want to get my card? So I get me pissed off a little bit, you know, the people are a little bit snobby.
I think
So I have
everybody,
like,
everybody experiences that.
Yes.
Except the
It's
one,
not me.
but- well, maybe you. but-
you always talk nice.
I know you
Go
do.
very.
I think that's what happens to
Raised up.
everybody.
Correct, but it
Part
shouldn't,
of, part of the business.
yes, but it shouldn't stop you.
No,
It shouldn't stop
from
you.
that person, or should I bug you?
No, I don't know. I don't think you should bug them. So I think maybe what you should kind of figure out is try to develop a softer way to approach certain personalities. So develop a opening line for this type of a personality versus this type of personality. So someone like a doctor, if it is, let's say your general practitioner that you see twice a year, it's not a matter of, I don't think that they necessarily don't want to work with you. But the moment you stick out a card to someone like that, they do take a very protective feel and act as if you're trying to sell them something. But if you're continually consulting with them, having conversations, right? And then offering them something that has nothing to do with you making a living. They don't want to contribute to someone making a living
One
when
more
they don't know
question,
you.
very important. That doctor, I found out that he has 5, 6, 7 rental properties,
Okay,
one of them high riser by the
Uh-huh.
405. Is that nice to tell him, Doc, oh, because I have a relationship, right? Because I see him once every 2 months. Doctor, you knock on the wood, you have this property here. I don't need to disclose that I know about your property.
well, I think that also depends on your
just
relationship.
private,
If he's
it's
acting like
private.
this when you give him a business card, I wouldn't bring that up.
Yeah, sure.
But maybe after a while, right? Maybe you can go in there with some information when there's rental law changes. And just say, hey, Doc, I imagine you probably have some of your, you probably own some rental properties. I'm not sure if your real estate agent told you, but there's some major changes in 2024 that affects landlords. And this is what I've been sharing with my clients. So I wanted to bring you one. And that's it. You
See,
don't-
she didn't ask for anything.
No, I didn't ask for
She
anything.
just said, here it is.
That's all it is. I am not asking you for time. I'm not asking you to divulge anything. I'm not even alluding to knowing you have rental properties, even though I know you have 5 high rises in Irvine. I'm just saying, you know, I'm assuming you probably have some rental properties. There's some major changes that took place. This is what I've been sharing with my clients this year. I thought I'd bring you one because I had it in my car. That's it. That's it. And then you just basically put up a little flag in his head just to say, oh, that was kind of cool. He may not remember it. You know, he may not call you next week, but you've just now let him know that you're a real estate
What I like about
consultant.
that, Mary, I'm assuming
you
you have some rental properties, you're complimenting them. Oh, you're successful, you're an investor, so there's a lot that. leads
Doctors
into it.
love their ego
Oh,
stroke.
yes, they do.
Yeah,
They don't ask for anything. All right, I assume you do.
Yeah.
so you have,
That's a great
you have like 5, 6, 7. That's why the main action is farming. If you don't have too many people, right?
Yeah.
And I heard from others that not only mailing, but walking to the area, just accidentally seeing neighbors, that's the main effect, start talking to neighbors.
Yes. Yes.
That's the only solution, I guess, better than social media, I guess.
No, I think.
I think it's a
every-
combination.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the things about, you know, starting your marketing portion of your business right now, you really do have to dabble with a little bit of everything and then kind of find your place. So there's some people, absolutely, they will not door knock, they will not walk a farm, and it's okay. I know people like that and they're highly successful, but then you got to find something else that you can do consistently. And as far as walking a farm, we'll kind of go back into our discussion is, you know, whether you mail, you walk, you door knock, you door drop, whatever it is, it's got to be consistent. It has got to be consistent. The only time I will allow you guys to not be consistent is when you're generating leads for an open house and utilizing that open house opportunity. So whether it's your listing or someone else's listing, you need to make it a habit, even if you're not a regular door knocker. You guys are really missing an opportunity if you are not out there Thursday and Friday before the open house. I challenge you, at least 50 doors. Does not have to be selling anything. You have an open house flyer or you have an invitation. My name is Mary. I'm just letting you know I'm hosting an open house across the street on Saturday. And I'm letting the neighbors know because you probably are going to see a lot of unfamiliar cars. And if you're free, you should come by. I'm serving donuts and coffee. That's it. I didn't say, because I personally, I can't ask for the business. I come from a place of contribution and information. So that's the way I sell. And if you're not a Tom Ferry, Mike Ferry, like, who do you know that's going to buy in the next 3 to 6 months? If that's not you, there's plenty of ways that you can get in front of people. And maybe that one door that you did knock on, maybe he is thinking about it. Maybe not now, but he's just starting to think about preliminary plans of how he's maybe should downsize next year. And those are the people that you would be able to find by utilizing an opportunity like an open house. So that is a challenge for you guys. I don't care whose open house it is, whether it's yours or not.
Mary, Kimberly had a question.
Yes.
No, I just wanted to add something. So in reference to what you guys were talking about, as she's saying, invite. As soon as you chase someone, think about a cat. It's going to continue to run
Right.
away from you. And the way that you come at somebody as far as inviting is opening the door. When you chase, they literally want to just.
They do this.
Yeah, yeah, so.
Well, you're the perfect example, Mary. You come in this office every day, 4 or 5 times a week, and you provide something of value, information. I've never heard you once say, "Oh, can I have the title order?" or "Use Mary on your next title order." You come in, provide
So-
information, and
So I guess my approach was wrong. That's why he closed his door like this, he did. But by the way, I said, doctor, by the way, I know you have this and this. If you know anybody, the way I help, would you help me in case?
Yeah,
Put me under your basket in case, somebody wants to.
right,
But I'm looking for bread and butter like you.
right.
Is that better talking with the sense, making his feeling, getting
Well,
emotional?
I think you have to find and develop your own styles, but generally speaking, people they don't want to be sold, but people will take, right? If you're giving them something, instead of trying to take, think of it, turn that around. You could be doing the same thing, right? And quite frankly, especially certain professionals like a doctor, that you gotta imagine they're getting hit up a lot. They're getting hit up by real estate agents, financial planners, life insurance, Mercedes dealerships. They're getting hit up day and night.
Yeah, fair.
So what are you? Just one more of those people. One more of those people. When's the last time someone offered them something? Right? Like a list of laws, or there's changes. Do you need a new rental contract? And it's not, you don't go and throw up all of this to them in the first time that you're seeing them, but you're just continually offering them some sort of a service. And, we all have different skills. We all have different ways that we sell. So you got to find that balance for yourself and what is going to be more open to the general masses. But I can say that is by far, people like to receive things. I've never met someone rejecting it. I shouldn't say that. I've had realtors tell me that they don't want my sticky pads because they work with First American, but I still leave it, So yeah, coming from a place of contribution, you're going to have a higher probability of less rejection. They have nothing to reject you for if you're giving them something. You haven't, you're not asking them. You're basically saying, I'd like to offer this to you.
Where you drop an article about
Yeah.
property of commercial or anything else.
Well-
This is by the way, doctor, this is a good idea. If you read it, if you have time, it's good for you. It's benefits. Something like that.
Yes, but I think, it's a little bit of a white lie maybe, but something to the effect, and that's the way I have my clients use the property profile, even if they've never done it. I say to them, because sometimes people get a little like, why the hell are you running all my records, So it's like, hey, Carlos, I know that we've talked in the past and I was thinking about you because this is a service I offer to my clients. And they really, really find it valuable because they can check out their deeds and make sure there's no fraudulent activity. So I prepared one for you, or may I prepare one for you, right? If it's still not a very easy relationship yet, it's either a yes or a no.
I think when people approach me and say, I have this
Can
great
I share?
opportunity for you, I push them away.
Yes,
So I wouldn't say anything like that.
yes,
Can I share?
yes,
What-
please.
That is, what, okay, do I just, let me just share my way. I don't say, what is the right answer. When I go somewhere, just like a dentist, doctor, or, what, some anywhere, what, I don't say, what, I'm a realtor or, what, something. I have never said. I'm not that much, I am pretty shy guy, what, I'm not, that much good, friendly guy, okay? But I already, you guys know that I already wear that, what I'm saying, I'm a realtor, okay, badge. And then, what, just like this. And then also, what, my jacket, always, what, the Paul banker, Jason. Even if I don't say, what, anything, they're gonna know that, okay? Then, what, one day, I have never begging, what, maybe know about me, what, I cannot begging to someone, anyone, even if I'm hungry or die, I cannot begging someone, okay? But, they asked me, one day they're gonna ask to me, are you a realtor? Or how's the market? Or something like that. Okay, so my, what the logic is, first step, how look like am I? Am I really good, like a good, professionalism?
Your
right?
image.
Look like, yeah, look like. And second one is, they're gonna ask us something. One day they're gonna ask us something, okay? 100%. One day they're gonna ask us something about market or their house or their kitchen. You try to find out property in Texas or whatever, something like about real estate. One day they're gonna ask it to you. Even what the gas station, what the dry cleaning, what they're gonna ask it to you. Then second, you have to answer really professional. So what all of my transaction, not too much, but about 10% is about 10% is what somewhere of it where I'm going. The last year, what, I got 2 transactions from the one is from the gas station. So and then the other one is dry cleaning. And then this year, what, I got just a new listing in Great Park. What, the Dr. O over here, what, in 3rd floor. The people I went over there. Okay, so what, even if I have never what, if you want to get something, what, you have to push them something. Okay, don't give us something. Okay, you can receive something, right? Or something like that. You have to change what your brain. Then what, anyway, people is going to be asked to you, and then what, anyway, they have some realtor, right? Realtor or financial accountant, CPA or whatever, something like that. But one day, they ask to you, and then what, if I'm more professional, I'm more professional than what the other realtor, of course they're gonna move, right? So what, don't just what, I mean just my opinion, look good first. I mean, look like the realtor first, and then second is what, just what, how can we say professional?
Yeah.
Just like what, the Richard say, what, okay, open the open listing or exclusive listing. We have to switch their brain from the why open listing is not good, and then we have to switch it to the exclusive is better. Then we have to get the listing, exclusive listing. It is our goal, right? Everything is big, what the speaking. I cannot, what the shut them, what the change their mind. Or we cannot do it. Everything is, what from the wording. So we really need to practice, what how to change, people's mind. So look good is a person, in my opinion. A lot of people say disagree about it. I know that a lot of people, what their professional is more important or something like that. I don't believe that. In my opinion, what looks like what the realtor or professionalism is first, and then second is what your wording. We have to learn, or we have to improve how do we speak with someone else. Then what when we go to listing presentation, how do we get what the higher commission and lower price, right? So what and then some people they just do what the lower commission and then higher price. It is worse. We call that kind of realtor disability, right? So that is my opinion.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jay.
Uh-huh. That was good.
Thank you.
That was excellent. I do have to agree with Jay. You know, a question that I get often from clients is, what do the top producers do? They all have a little different way. Everyone's got their individual style in how they farm, how they market. But some of the things that Jay is saying, your image, always being prepared for a question, those are some fundamental commonalities. I don't care if it's my top producer in Huntington Beach or my top producer in Irvine. Some of those attributes are across the board. They are right on it. And those are things that you can control. So that's actually probably for another meeting, another lesson. But I want to go over, if this is in your packet, I want to go over a list of items, guys, that is, I call them calls to action. Some of you who have had meetings with me may have received something like this, but going back to what Jay was saying again, having a knowledge base, right? A lot of us, you could have been doing this for 20 years, you could be doing this for 2 months, but there's so much information that it's hard to know everything. So don't get ready to get ready. You're never going to know everything. I still have things multiple times a day that I have to stop and make calls and research. But these items that I call my calls to action, they're not only for you guys to make outbound calls or emails with, or include on your marketing pieces. But I think fundamentally, as a real estate agent, you guys need to break all of these apart and have a complete understanding of what I'm saying on each item. Because these are the most frequently asked questions from consumers. It's, for me, I know it with my eyes closed because I get asked these questions 20, 30 times a week. So why I'm telling you this is, if you have some of these memorized in your back pocket, I guarantee you 75 to 90% of the time, you will be able to have an intelligent conversation, offer someone something. Disclaimer, Mr. Richard Moore, my proofreader, has pointed out, I have a old, outdated proposition number. It's the same content, but this is proposition 19. So let me give you an example, guys. Earlier I mentioned, like, when we do a property profile, making sure that Mr. Richard Moore's home, if he has a trust, and I sent him a profile and it's not in his trust, you've just really assisted him. You've offered him a tremendous value to him and his family to say, hey, Mr. Moore, did you know that your property is not in a trust? So you can point that out and help him get it addressed. Oftentimes it happens when you do a refinance and it must have not gotten back into your trust, Mr. Moore. So we'll help you figure out how to get this back in, something like that. Or do you have a change of a mailing address? Do you need to change your mailing address with the county assessors? Do you need comps on your rentals? That's a big one too. Remember what I was saying at the beginning of this conversation of, it's not really just about looking for people who can do business right now. I mean, that would be ideal. If I could find a list of people who are going to give me 5 title orders this week, it would be ideal, but I can't control that. What I can control is providing for those landlords. What do landlords want to know, right? They want to kind of know some lease comps. It's not readily available. So if you offered them something like that, you become a consultant. You become someone of value. So get to know these items and become familiar with it. And they become parts of like your elevator speech, right? So when you're having small conversations and something comes up, you can always go back to a couple of these tools that you're comfortable discussing and offer them help. And then last but not least, Carlos, can we go down to farm agenda? It's gonna be, yeah. So I have some information there for tackling and marketing to absentee owners too. I'm happy to discuss the details with you guys on that, but it's just kind of an outline. The next part and the way that I'm going to end this meeting is, it is absolutely about planning, guys. You as real estate agents are self-employed business owners. I'm not going to one day decide I'm gonna open up a Subway sandwich shop and have no plan, right? And it's the same for being a real estate agent. I think that's one of the biggest challenges of why people have a hard time succeeding and really truly creating a business. And when I say having it as a business, in addition to knowing what your budget is for marketing, you need to have an outline of exactly what you're going to be doing. So whether you're farming to your SOI or you're farming to a track in West Park, you need to have an agenda of what you're going to be sending out and how you plan on doing it. So this is actually a sample agenda. It has enough in there for you guys to farm for a year. Obviously, you can move around the dates. It's based on 21 days. And for some of the areas, some may be more applicable than others, but generally speaking, I have a lot of content in there where you can actually farm without having a ton of listings. You could be newer in the industry. I mean, like the front one or the first one that said recent listings. If you don't have any recent listings or purchases, obviously that's not going to apply to you, but you can add something like comps in there. Secondly, then you do having to do with year-end tax planning tips. So you can move this around and start at different places in the agenda based on when you start farming, but I have it done starting about in the fall and moving in through the whole year of what you can put out. If you don't have a plan, it's not going to execute. People get busy, right? But if you make farming your number one priority every single day, and I don't care how you do it. I don't care if it is at your doctor's office or if it's like Jay on his day-to-day basis, or if it is mailing, but you need to have it as a plan. You need to be absolutely consistent with it. And when I say consistent, if you don't think you can manage the budget or the persistent strength for at least 2 years, I say take that money that you're willing, that you feel comfortable investing into your business, take that money and take people out to lunch, take people out to coffee. I don't care who they are. They could be someone who you think has a 500 FICO score and can't ever lease a house in Irvine. Even that person could have potential value. Create relationships, establish a aura of giving to people and consult with them. So that's something that I tell my clients very often. You know, people that are just starting out with a farm of 250 to 500 people, like, I'm not getting anything from this. I want to throw in the towel. It's been a year. I haven't had any listings. Then it's a year is too soon, number one. Number two, that money, $100, $150 that she was spending a month, probably would have gone a lot further if she was taking out a friend from church, you know, a mommy from PTA, someone that you play pickleball with, all these different people for a cup of coffee and getting to know them. Any questions, guys? Yes, Maria.
Number 2 was the floor plan and all the permits.
Yes,
Is that something that you also provide?
it's something that I can assist you with. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Roya just asked about floor plans and permits. So as I wrap this meeting up, guys, for those of you who are newer in the business or newer in the office, do you know that your title representative, your business development business partner, I have access to a lot of different things real estate related. If I don't have access to it, I can find someone who does. And there's an entire layer. It's not just the preliminary title reports that we put out. All of us do that. But there are extra added benefits. If you utilize us properly, we can really assist you. So don't be shy to let me know. Permits, floor plans, they take a little more time. It's not instantaneous like my profiles, but it's absolutely something that we can provide. Thank you guys so much.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Any other questions from anyone else?
Mary.
There was somebody that said Mary.
Yes.
They just want your hand up.
I just said thank you.
Fantastic. That's just amazing, just amazing. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. So then we will see you next week unless there's any other questions. We'll wrap it up. Mary, oh, the maps.
Yes.
Can we also get that in a digital file?
You sure can.
Okay, great. Thank you.